Happy Monday, everyone. Oh, holy shit, was it a good weekend? Like, man, it was just an insane weekend. I'm still checking the pulse to make sure I'm alive. I think we had to use some resuscitation on me a few times during the games. But as you can tell, we're sporting the Carolina blue. Super, super stoked for the game tonight. Yeah, it was we were away from we were out during the games, and so it was just constantly watching it, and so excited, as I'm sure you all know at this point. So very, very excited. It was incredible game, and yeah, just super excited for tonight. I don't know if you all watched the women's game last night. And that was a great game as well. Had South Carolina pulling through, and just very, very excited for tonight. And I hope you all will be tuning in as well. So great way to start off the week as well. And going into the weekend, we had Chris Tragasz take us into the weekend with an incredible episode. If you haven't had a chance, definitely go back and watch that. Man, he is just a brilliant human being. Man, he is so incredibly smart. Not only, obviously, now he is in the auto industry, but he comes with just so much knowledge prior to that. And if anyone, I mean, we've all watched Law and Order. We've watched all these different shows. If you can stand cross-examination and being just, as he says, I don't like being called an expert because there's always someone that is going to know more than me in at least in one area, which is so true. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from that statement alone, let's be honest. But stand the cross-examination as being an expert witness and interrogation back and forth and having every syllable of what you're saying depicted and just dissected and saying, well, you really paused on that one. So you might be lying, but not everything he does now is okay. Going back to my days in the Illinois Attorney General's office is now how I do things now, and how he does things now, and going in and talking to him, and whether it's because as dealerships, and we can all attest to this, for some reason we do have a bullseye on our backs, and we kind of talked about that a little bit, but whether it was with the Accessibility Act, and do we have our little icon on our computer, on our websites, to show that we are applying by that and abiding by those rules. How many dealerships got hit by that? And I told the story of how many dealerships and the group that I saw got hit multiple times, and both groups got hit multiple times by not having their Wi-Fi protected and got hit with ransomware. We just really do have a bullseye on our back by these lawsuits that happen. And I love the story told about these cottage industries that they come together and they just go after certain industries for these things. And when it comes to GLBA Act, that is an episode in itself. And shout out to Tim Cox. He did a webinar on this. I want to say it was, Tim, I apologize if I get this wrong. I want to say it was a month or two ago on this, an entire webinar on this. So please not only go back and watch Chris's episode, go watch Tim's talks. Like I said, I think it was 1 or 2 months ago, where he brought on other experts to talk specifically on the GLBA and go and talks like what you need to do. And whereas Chris and I talked in general on security issues, and we touched on the GLBA Act. This is such a huge thing that you've got to have things in order. You've got to have your ducks in a row. And we talked on all different things, but just that this is not something that's going to go away. This isn't something that, we can just kind of skirt the issue and fly under the radar. No, they're going to come after you. I mean, these fees are huge. It's not like $100 fee. It's not a $10,000 fee. These are, I believe, and I don't want to get the number wrong here, I think it's a $43,000 fine. It's 43 or 34. I'm kind of having a dyslexic moment right now. But it's a huge number of fine. So get your shit together, bottom line. Get your shit together. Make sure it's right. Make sure you have a great team around you. And even from a security standpoint, email is so big, as we discussed. Like, there's the little things you can do, and there's little things that don't cost a lot of money that you can just get your house in order. If you're using personal email, just for the love, stop using personal emails. One, protect yourself, and as an owner, protect your name on the building, because if you're letting your employees use personal emails, you're only hurting yourself. So all these little things that you can do to just protect yourself that don't really cost a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. So Chris, thank you so much for being on the show to kind of go with this Friday to continue that security theme. Andrea Amico we have on this week, and I am really, really excited to bring him on this week, on this Friday. I, for some reason, just thought this was common knowledge. Andrea has a company called Privacy4Cars, and I had seen a post, man, it was a couple months ago, that I think it was Tim Martell, so shout out to Tim. And he had a post about he had turned in a car, and he could still be able to control the car that he had turned into a dealership. And Tim's huge. He's got an incredible company. He could still control the car that he had turned in and saw where it was in another dealer. I think, Tim, I apologize if I'm getting the story wrong here, Tim, but you could control it and see it in another person's garage. So this is a huge problem, and they got the story going. And so Andrea and I eventually connected and just kind of talk about how his company, what his company is doing. And someone that is, I've been in the auto industry for a long time, but, and because of that, I used to travel a ton. At one point I was home, I think maybe 2 or 3 days out of the month. So I used to live out of rental cars. I spent more time in rental cars and hotels and planes than I did my own bed. So I knew as soon as I plugged my phone in, I understood what I was giving up. And I knew as soon as I got out of the rental car to completely erase everything, because I knew what I was giving up and what that meant. And I just figured that, I just assumed that everyone knew that. But what do you know? What does it mean when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. So I'm really, really excited for this conversation, because this is something that we need to forward this conversation. We need to let this knowledge be known. And it's not only for the consumer, but for the dealer, for the insurance companies, for the rental car companies. So many people need to hear this message. So I'm really, really excited for this episode on Friday. So definitely don't want to miss it. Make sure that if you're not already liking the show, you're not following it, you're not sharing it, you're not rating, make sure you do, because you don't want to miss this episode. And then if you're just hearing it now, go back and watch this. And then, same thing. If you're liking the content, definitely let me know. So I want to touch on a couple of things. This is going to be a little bit of I'm not going to say soapbox little vent here. Just I've had a couple of incidences that we all go through, as we all do in this industry. But bottom line, don't be a dick. That's the main message of this whole episode right now. Is I've had another, as we all do, as I said, that there's been, owning your own data, and there's all these different things. And this all had a recent experience, but this is not the first. It's not the first one. It's not the last one. It's not the 100th one. It's not the 200th one, but it's just as you're going through, we're in an interesting spot in our industry right now, where people are buying stores left and right. You've got these big conglomerates that are buying stores. And then you've got all these amazing different technologies out there. And then when you ask someone, so who owns what? And then when someone goes to sell something, okay, great. So we're going to need you to send over and grant us permissions and ownership to XYZ. And you have some owners that really want to help out, but they simply don't know how. And then you have and anyone that's heard me speak there, that I am really passionate about. There are vendors and there are business partners. So if you've been on the other side and you get called a vendor, you're on your way out in about 2 seconds. So I'm really big when people talk and I hear the word vendor, I'm like, oh shit, I'm on my way out. So I'm going to say the word vendor, because you'll have vendors that say, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Dealer, you really don't need ownership or access or admin rights to any of your stuff. That's bullshit. So any dealership, if any vendor tells you you don't need ownership to something, they are lying to you. You are you're their client. You're employing them. You should always have ownership of everything. I'm going to repeat that. You should always, always, always own everything. Any vendor, because at that point they are no longer a business partner. If they tell you, you don't really need to have ownership or admin rights or any type of ownership to Google Analytics or, what used to be Google My Business, but Google Business Profile, you don't really need to own that. Don't worry about it. We'll just take care of it. Bullshit. You need to own that. You know what? Facebook you know, we'll own that for you. Bullshit. Own that. Own that. You know what? You know, whatever, insert whatever, you need to own that. So sick and tired of it. I go into all these different, whatever, you know, I was recently in a client's account, and their vendor, once again, owned their Google Analytics. They owned their AdWords. They hadn't even connected Search Console. When I asked them about it, oh, we own that. It's not your data. It's not your data. It is the dealership's data. Hand it over to them. It's theirs. Stop taking it from the dealer and claiming it as your own. It's not yours. Stop it. Please, for the love of all that's holy, stop it. Because now let's say that dealer decides that they're going to sell at some point. You know how hard that makes it for the buyer now to try to access that data? It's near impossible. Near impossible, because, oh, it's ours, we're not going to give it to you. It's like an act of God to try to get anything from anybody to obtain that information. Well, we're not going to give it to you. We're not going to give it to the close. Well, anyone that's been through a buy sell, what happens when that close happens? You lose all leverage whatsoever. We're not going to give it to you. Well, we got to go through litigation. Well, are you really going to go through litigation? Like, you know, the amount of money that's going to cost to go through litigation. Like, there's no way in hell. Like, it just makes it so much more difficult. So don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. Like, this goes so much further. We were at Costco on Sunday, and this is like, I just went off on a tangent here, but red shiny object. But I'm going to put the cart away, and it's like one of those flatbed carts, and some dick decides to put the cart in like sideways, so it's hitting a Mercedes. Now, I don't care if it's a Mercedes, if it's a Datsun. I don't care what car it is. Don't be a dick. Just put it back. Like, it's not that difficult. So yes, I'm ranting a little bit here. I have a bit of a passion for, you know, making this world a better place than I found it, making this industry better than I found it. When I see people taking advantage of other people, I get a little riled up. And I've just continued to see not continually, because there are so many awesome companies out there and awesome industries out there, awesome agencies out there that are actual partners, and they are there to move the industry forward. I mean, I could just start name dropping like crazy right now. So there's so many out there. I just plead that any dealership out there, that if your vendors are telling you you don't need to own your own data, run and find whatever your cancellation process is, get out of it. Send that cancellation letter in, because they are lying to you, and what they're doing behind closed doors is a whole other story, and they are not being upfront with you. So own your data and don't be a dick. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. So excited to see you all on Friday with Andrea Amico from Privacy4Cars. And yeah, let's go Carolina. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you so much.